Dámy a pánové, dobrý večer. Good evening to all of you and each of you. Vyslechli jste krásný koncert a já si myslím, že poté, co jste tleskali kvartetu jako takovému, by se teď slušelo pořádně, jak je můžete zatleskat každému zvlášť. Takže, dámy a pánové, Miss Areta Zulla, Miss Molly Carr, Miss Astrid Schween, and Mr. Ronald Copes. Thank you for being with us for 20 minutes, no longer, I promise. Okay? When one studies your CVs, one reads that you've been a chamber musicians, soloists, teachers, of course, and so forth. How can you do all of that? When do you sleep? You have your mics here.
Well, it's on. So that is a good question. And the balance is something we struggle with, but also it's a delight to be in a position to perform and to have such wonderful audiences, to be able to travel the world, to rehearse together, and to work with our students. So we feel overall extremely lucky, and I think that helps give us the energy.
Já jsem říkal, že když si člověk studuje jejich životopisy, tak tam nachází to, že jsou komorními hráči, nebo hráčkami samozřejmě, solisty, samozřejmě vyučují. Jak to všechno stíhají, kdy vůbec spí? Úsměvná odpověď, je to dobrá otázka, fakt je, že je to hodně, ale na druhé straně nás to ohromně nabíjí, můžeme spolu zkoušet, vystupovat, můžeme cestovat, hrát pro takové báječné publikum, takže je to v pořádku. Mr. Copes, I suppose you've been with the team for a quarter of a century or something like that. A lot of things might have changed. Your co-players have changed, haven't they? But something has been preserved, I believe. What is it?
I'd like to add one thing to.
Please go ahead.
What they did, and I'll take that from there. One of the things that we're so fortunate about is that we get to share with people some of the most amazing works of human imagination ever. And we get to not only to share it, but to delve into it, to really dig and to discover what makes these works so magical.
Já bych si napřed takhle. Otázka zněla, že pan Copes je vlastně nejdéle členem tohoto skvělého souboru 25 let. Co se mezi tím změnilo, je jasné, ale co zůstalo, ptal jsem se. A on na to, že by napřed rád navázal na to, co bylo řečeno předtím, máme obrovské štěstí, že můžeme s vámi a s publikem sdílet ty nejkrásnější hudební kompozice, které existují. A co jenom sdílet? Můžeme se do nich zavrtat, jít do hloubky té hudby a to je prostě nádherné.
And because of that, because of our ability to really delve into this music, that's something that the Juilliard Quartet has always had. That's something that the very original members of the quartet had. And it's something that at each personnel change, obviously we've looked for people who share that passion, who share that intense curiosity about what makes these works as effective and as magical as they are.
A já vlastně říkám, můžu navázat na to, co jsem řekl před chvílí. To, co zůstalo, to, co nás spojuje, co je to jedinečné, je to, že vždycky, když se mění nějaký člen nebo členka, tak hledáme někoho, kdo má tu stejnou vášeň, nořit se do hloubky hudby, objevovat ji pro sebe i pro vás. I think in one of your interviews, Mrs. Zulla, some 4 years ago when you joined the team, so to say, you said that on one hand, the Juilliard Quartet as such is more than 3/4 of a century old, but you still can find something typical for it, right?
You mean something fresh?
Yes.
It goes exactly with what Ron is saying. Should we tell them our slogan? We have a little bit of a message that comes with the quartet that started from the beginning, is that we look at old music as new, as if the ink is still wet, and new music as deep as old music. So, and this is something that we try to do today too, very seriously.
Víte, co je zakódováno v té historii 75leté tohoto kvarteta, je myslím to, že na jedné straně se snažíme hrát starou hudbu tak, jako kdyby ty partitury sotva oschly, a na druhé straně se snažíme hrát soudobou hudbu, jako už kdyby měla nějakou ověřenou hloubku. Miss Carr, you're a beginner. Right?
I am.
And I found in some of the articles that your precious predecessor, Mr. Tapping, when he had joined the quartet, he said, "I can't believe it. I have to pinch myself." Yeah. Did you have to pinch yourself too?
Every day.
Oh, really?
Every day, yeah. I feel so grateful to be here. Am I allowed to tell them that tonight was my very first concert with the JSQ?
Was it really?
So it was. Tonight was my debut as a JSQer. So I am very much pinching myself and just very, very excited to be able to every day do what Ron and Areta are describing, of just delving into music and discovering and enjoying every day. It's a joy. So pinch.
Paní Molly Carr je naopak nejmladší členkou souboru v tom smyslu, že je v něm opravdu velmi krátkou dobu, protože její předchůdce zemřel teprve letos v lednu, a tento muž jménem Roger Tapping, já jsem našel v jednom z předchozích materiálů, že říkal, když on byl pozván, aby se přičlenil k tomuto týmu, tak říkal, já tomu pořád nemůžu věřit, já se musím štípnout, jestli je to pravda. A tak jsem se ptal, jestli ona se také musí štípnout. On řekl, každý den z toho zázraku. Pro mě je to dneska vlastně první veliké vystoupení a já to prožívám ohromným způsobem.
What a debut, yes?
A to je teda debut tady.
This hall.
Yes. And playing Dvořák in the Dvořák Hall when he had conducted. You know the story, don't you? But in your CV, there is one more interesting thing. Some 9 years ago, you nearly were confronted with no more playing, right?
Yes.
So music really heals us, as you found out. Can you tell us something about it shortly? What happened and what did you find?
Yeah, so in 2013, I injured my left hand, and the full story is my husband, he wasn't a husband at the time, but he had left a bunch of dirty dishes, and I decided it was time to do the dishes. And I broke a glass bowl doing the dishes, his dishes, into my left hand and shattered a number of pieces, making it impossible to play. So I had about 6 to 8 months where I wasn't able to play, and I had surgeries trying to find the glass. And during that time, do you want to translate? Is that too much?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. I still follow the story.
Yeah,
it's still in my mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
During that time, I didn't know if I would be able to play again, so I decided to try a different career while I couldn't play, and took a nursing aid course with the American Red Cross, and discovered that I really loved it, and actually was befriended some patients that I promised them that if I could play again, I would bring them back to their bedside, bring all of my colleagues back to their bedside and play for them. So because of that injury, I now have a nonprofit that served almost 20,000 individuals like the patients I served, and bringing musicians and colleagues from around the world into hospitals and prisons and refugee camps and nursing homes. And so that little piece of glass, my husband reminds me all the time that he saved my life.
Je to velký příběh. Já jsem přihrál paní Carr ten příběh, aby ho rychle převyprávěla aspoň stručně, co se jí stalo před 9 lety, ano, v roce 2013, při banálním mytí nádobí se svým partnerem, tehdy ještě nebyl manželem, si významně poranila levou ruku. Vypadalo to, že možná ani nebude už nikdy hrát. Několik 6 až 8 měsíců prodělávala léčbu, včetně operací, a soustředila se i na něco jiného a začala působit díky Červenému kříži i jako dobrovolnice u různých potřebných lidí ve vězeních, dokonce taky samozřejmě v nemocnicích a tak dále. A zjistila to, co pak založila jako hnutí Hudba léčí. A to hnutí dneska má kolem 20 000 dobrovolníků a tuto hudbu jim přinášíme.
Would you like some water?
No, I'm okay. Thank you so much. Please bring some whiskey. When you were only 16, you played with New York Philharmonics, conducted by Maestro Zubin Mehta. Do you still remember the night?
I still remember the night very well. I remember the dress that I wore, which my
do you?
mother made
Typically,
for me.
question.
Yes,
A man would never
would
say
never-
that. Lovely.
Well, this was something my mother made for me for the special occasion.
Oh, really?
And for some reason, she made it out of a very heavy material. It was velvet, so I felt like I was wearing drapes from the window, curtains. And so I played my little concerto, and it was a very special experience.
see.
And it led to something very special, which was an introduction to meet Jacqueline Dupre and study with her for many years afterwards. So
That's right.
it was a nice time.
Paní Šven bylo pouhých 16, když si představte, vystoupila s newyorskými filharmoniky, které dirigoval maestro Zubin Mehta, tak jsem se ptal, jestli si ten večer pořád pamatuje, a ona odpověděla takovou krásně typicky ženskou odpovědi, nejenom, že si pamatuju ten večer, ale i to jsem měla na sobě. A bylo to takové zvláštní, můj bratr se o to postaral, byl to samet a bylo to hrozně jako načechrané, takže já to mám dodnes v paměti jako dvojí zážitek. Ten podstatnější byl, že jsem díky panu Métovi se pak dostala do rukou slavné Jacqueline Dupre a odstartovala to moji kariéru. Before we talk a little bit about the 3 compositions of the night, let me ask the last sort of general question. The title is the Juilliard Quartet. What does the Juilliard School mean for you? Is it a safe haven? Is it a harbor, a home, or whatever? Because you've been teaching there too.
Well, it's all of those. One of the wonderful things is that when the Juilliard School, the president of the Juilliard School invited Robert Mann to form the Juilliard String Quartet, I think he envisioned the quartets being a central part of the school. And that is what we feel our role is in a way. So in a way, we're very supported by the school. It's wonderful to have that solidity of a base for playing concerts. We also go out and spread the school's name, of course, as part of it. But in a way, the most important or the most gratifying part of it is that we get to work with some amazing colleagues and some amazing students. And to be able to participate in their growth, the students' growth and everything is one of the things that makes this job so incredibly rewarding.
Když se tento kvartet jmenuje tak, jak se jmenuje, no tak si mě samozřejmě zajímalo, jak vnímají školu The Juilliard School, jestli je to pro ně jakýsi bezpečný přístav, jestli je to domov. Všechno to je to, co jste řekl, odpovídá pan Coates a dodává k tomu v momentě, kdy vedení školy se rozhodlo založit tento soubor, tak vlastně si uvědomilo nebo vzalo v potaz, že to bude velmi významná, možná klíčová část naší školy, která ji bude reprezentovat. Takže my cítíme obrovskou podporu. Na druhé straně, když cestujeme, tak zase propagujeme jméno té školy, pochopitelně. Ale co je možná nejúžasnější, co nás nejvíc naplňuje, když vyučujeme, tak získáváme zpětnou vazbu od našich nových budoucích kolegů a to je ten proces, který nás nesmírně obohacuje. You started this night by a composition by a Jamaican woman, Miss Eleanor Albergy, who, except for a bunch of specialists, is not well known here. Would you please say something about the woman? And did you meet her personally?
No, we have not met her.
No, you didn't.
We contacted her.
She lives in England.
She
right?
does, yes. Our previous violist, Roger Tapping, he contacted her and he said, "We would love to play your piece. Will you please send us parts, send us music?" And she did. It was very, very nice. Was it her husband? I think maybe, perhaps. We love her music. There's so much energy. Rhythmically speaking, she just sort of, I don't know if you noticed, there's many grooves as the piece progresses, and she goes in and out of them with finesse almost. You know, it's not, you don't necessarily feel the different sections. And at the same time, it's beautiful music. The slow parts of it, just very, very touching. And so it got us very excited listening to it, and we thought, we have to play this, we have to add this to our repertoire, and we're very happy we did.
První autorkou první skladby večera byla Eleanor Albergy, žena, která je kolem 70, pokud vím, původem z Jamajky, žije v Anglii, tak jsem se ptal, jestli se s ní někdy setkali, nebo jak vlastně vzniklo to, že tu skladbu nastudovali. Již zmíněný předchůdce Molly Carr kontaktoval tuto skladatelku a rozhodli se, že toto ze tří, toto skladbu určitě zařadí, protože na jedné straně je tam úžasná rytmičnost, ale s velkými finesami, a na druhé straně v těch pomalých pasážích je to hluboká hudba, takže proto jsme si ji vybrali. And then Benjamin Brittena. And maybe his last finished piece, instrumental piece, probably, composed partly at home, partly in his beloved Venice, and premiered, if I'm not mistaken, shortly after his death. It's a very moving story behind it, isn't it?
It is. Do you want to say something about the piece? No? Okay. Yes, he was very inspired by Death in Venice, by Thomas Mann. And so there's a little bit of a programmatic thread that works through the piece. I think what attracted us to the work was in part the many movements in such a small and compact work. We felt we could get the breadth of his range as a composer, all the different elements that he might bring to a work in such a small space. It's fascinating. It's very challenging to get into each one of these windows quickly, but it's a magnificent piece. And
Benjamin Brittena a skladba, která vlastně je možná jeho poslední dokončenou instrumentální skladbou. Skladba, kterou složil těsně před smrtí, 4 věty, 4 části doma, jednu v jeho milovaných Benátkách. A premiéru měla těsně po jeho smrti. Je to jímavý příběh, ano, a ten příběh se obtiskl do té hudby. Samozřejmě on byl hodně inspirován Thomasem Mannem a Smrtí v Benátkách, ostatně známe všichni ten film, takže to se tam určitě obtiskává do té hudby a je to hudba, kde vlastně pro několik jenom nástrojů, jinak Britten, že jo, skládal velké věci, opery a tak dále, tak tam je to typický on i na té malé ploše nebo v tom malém obsazení. And Dvořák in the Dvořák Hall. Actually, as it is fittingly written in a program, in a brochure, he started composing the piece in America, and then he finished it here. So you followed his footsteps, actually, didn't you?
Exactly. We were just saying this in the taxi on our way here, as we were driving through Prague to come here from our hotel. Wow, he came back. Mm-hmm. You know, he saw this and just felt like home, came back and wrote this quartet. And can't you hear the joy just the way it ends, just, happiness.
Exactly. Joy and happiness, but also there is this scherzo.
Of course.
One of the best
it's
scherzos
Dvořák,
in the
you
world.
have to, yeah. One of the best, yeah.
Yes. No a Dvořák, jak je správně napsáno, jsem si všiml v tištěných programech, nebo aspoň v těch pozvánkách, tak vlastně soubor následoval Dvořáka, který, jak víme, začal komponovat tuto skladbu v Americe, pak přišla pauza, když se vrátil domů několik měsíců a pak velmi rychle tu skladbu přepracoval a dokončil tady. Takže ano, my jsme si říkali cestou, že jdeme v jeho stopách, že to zase vlastně přivážíme sem domů, tuhle tu radostnou, krásnou hudbu, kde je zase na druhé straně, ale i to jímavé scherzo, jedno z nejlepších svého druhu, které bylo kdy napsáno. Well, you've been really traveling all around the globe. 2 days from now, I suppose you'll be in Merano.
Yep.
But thank you very much for being here with us in Prague, in the Dvořák Hall, and all the best and take care.
Thank you. Absolutely our pleasure.
Cestují zítra, pozítří budou v Meránu, dnes byli v Praze, moc krát za to děkujeme a všichni jsme si to vychutnali. Thank you so much.